What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing not one, but two expansions for Marvel Champions, the card game. We got a little behind, and look, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just like the movie, so we figured, why not? Let's put them together. You get the best fun playing with both characters, in our opinion. Don't worry, we'll talk about that in the review. So, of course, this is published by Fantasy Flight Games, and the three main designers of the game worked on both of these expansions: Michael Boggs, Caleb Grace, and Nate French. Now, Julie's going to take it away and tell you more about the game, that these expansions are for.
That's correct. So Marvel Champions, for which these are expansions, is a cooperative game that is intended for ages 14 and above. It's a 1 to 4 player game, and it plays in about 45 to 60 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, it really depends on the difficulty level and the amount of players.
I say that one of our games took us an hour and a half.
That's true. It was quite the fight that time. But 4 players, it might be like a 3-hour game. I think this game plays best probably at the 2 to 3 player count. But we already talked about that in the review. Now to tell you what you will be doing with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Well, both characters can either turn into tiny heroes or giant-sized heroes. You do have the first ever foldable card that is introduced into the game. Like all of the other hero packs, you get new hero cards. You will then take these heroes and insert them into the existing scenarios that you have for Marvel Champions and try to defeat villains such as Kang the Conqueror, Green Goblin, or even take them through the campaign, The Rise of the Red Skull. I think I've covered everything.
Yep.
So let's get them to the table one more time.
Yeah.
And what do we need to do now?
We need to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend and partner.
And now we can take the table one more time.
Yep. Let's see how they play. Just need a little bit of a refresher. I mean, like Scott Lang, I can be a little spacey at times. Now we're going to take a quick look at the components for the Ant-Man Hero Pack for Marvel Champions, the card game. So we do have the new rules here, which explains the foldable cards, the new keyword team-ups, a few clarifications, and of course, details about Ant-Man and how to use some of the cards. Then on the back, we get a nice, cool character poster like we have on all of the other Hero Pack sheets. So here we've got Ant-Man, and now it is a foldable card, meaning you can flip him over, he'll be Scott Lang, or fold the card open, and he will be Giant Man. Now for allies, we have the Wasp, and actually before we skip ahead there, let's take a look at Scott Lang. So time to unwind response: after you change to this form, you will heal 1 damage. If he's in Ant-Man form, after you change to this form, remove 1 threat from a scheme. And when he is the aforementioned Giant Man, after you change to this form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. Now, Wasp is pretty cool. She's got a hero response when she shows up. So depending on what form you're in, she'll either thwart or attack. We've got Giant Stomp, which you can only play if you're in Giant form. So deal 1 damage to each minion or deal 8 damage to an enemy. Hive Mind, which is a thwart card. Resize. Pim Particles for your it's a wild resource. After you spend this card, you can heal 2 damage from your hero if you're in Giant form, or draw 1 card if you're in Tiny form. So pretty cool. Hero action, Army of Ants. If you're in Tiny hero form, exhaust Army of Ants to deal 1 damage to an enemy. Ant-Man's Helmet. Hero response: after you change to Giant hero form, heal 2 damage from your hero. After you change to Tiny hero form, draw 1 card. Giant Strength. So after you change to Giant form, you get +1 attack until the end of the turn. And Risk Gauntlets. Hero action: if you're in Giant form, exhaust Risk Gauntlets and spend 2 punch resources to stun an enemy. Pretty cool. If you're in Tiny form, you will use the energy resources to confuse an enemy. So these are Ant-Man's cards specifically. Now, here we've got his leadership deck. So we do have the other Ant-Man, Hank Pym. So he gets +1 hit point for each Pym counter on him. And when Ant-Man enters into play, you put 4 Pym counters on him. You also have Giant Man. So Giant Man gets +2 attack while he has 3 or more remaining hit points. Pretty cool. Ronin gets +1 thwart and +1 attack while an upgrade is attached to them. Stinger. So play only if your identity is an Avenger, but he doesn't count against your ally limit. Then we've got Call for Aid. Discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an Avenger ally and add it to your hand. Moxie, after you change form, your hero gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, +1 defense. Power Gloves, attach to an Avenger ally, max 1 per ally. After the attached ally attacks or thwarts, deal 1 damage to an enemy. Very cool. So, Reinforced Suit, you can attach this tech to allies so they can get +2 hit points. So this is going to be very interesting. Ant-Man seems like a very strong character, but also one that's going to be leading. Now here we've got just the standard cards. So we do have some new stuff in here. We'll take a look at that in a moment. So Swarm Attacks is new, and then Team Building Exercise. So Swarm Attack, team up Ant-Man and Wasp, max 1 per deck. Change to your other hero form and ready your hero. Then Team Building Exercise, exhaust Team Building Exercise. Play a card from your hand that shares a trait with your hero and reducing its cost by 1. Next, we have our obligation, which is Care for Cassie. Works like the other obligations in the game. Goes into the villain deck. Now, of course, we have our Nemesis. So it is Tech Theft for his scheme, and the Nemesis is Yellow Jacket. While you're in giant form, Yellow Jacket gains the giant trait and retaliate 1. While you're in tiny hero form, Yellow Jacket gains the tiny trait and gets attack +1. So he's going to match you. He also has different conditions. So we'll not go over that. Well, there's only one of them. So attach the Yellow Jacket if able. If you cannot attach to the villain, so use 3 size counters. After the attached enemy activates, remove 1 size counter, but he gets +2 scheme and +2 attack, and no way to get rid of that. That's nasty. Then we've got Yellow Jacket's Plan. Discard cards from the encounter deck until a card from the Ant-Man Nemesis set is discarded that way, and then reveal the card. And of course, we do get some new general cards, as well as the Ant-Man deck list. So the general cards, Moment of Triumph. After you attack and defeat an enemy, heal 1 damage from your hero for each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by the attack. Lay down the law. Thwart, after you change form, remove 3 threat from a scheme, 4 threat instead if you paid for this using a science resource. Master Courage. Play only for identity as the Avenger trait. Give up X-friendly characters a tough status. Give up to X-friendly characters a tough status card. Up to 3, where X is equal to the number of the villain's stage. Then address the situation. You get +1 hand size until the end of phase. And there you have it. That's what's in the hero pack for Ant-Man. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of this expansion. Now we're going to take a quick look at the components for the Wasp. So we do have the rules for the Wasp Hero Pack, just some explanations as to the foldable cards. We do have the new keyword team up, as well as piercing, just some more rules clarifications. Then of course we have the game designers and all that other fun information. Now if you happen to mix up your Wasp cards, you do have the instructions as to how to set up her original starting deck. Then of course, on the back, we get this nice, cool art, the same art that you have on the box. Now we'll take a look at the Wasp cards themselves. So of course we've got Wasp in her hero form. You can unfold it and you have her in her giant hero form. And then as Nadia Van Dyne, the genius, in her standard form. Then we've got Ant-Man as an ally, Scott Lang. We have Giant Help. So that's her thwart. You can remove 3 threat from a scheme, or a total of 4 threat divided among schemes if you're in giant form. So you have to remember that if you're giant or tiny, makes a lot of difference. Pinpoint strength, as you can see here, says it'll work if you're tiny. Rapid growth. When you use one of your hero's basic powers, change to your giant form and get +2. Pretty cool. The Wasp Sting, which is awesome. So if you're in giant form, it does 4 damage. If you're in tiny form, deal 5 damage, which is pretty cool. Pim Particles, so you've got some awesome resources. And then you got the Red Room Training, which is a skill. So you can retaliate 1 in giant form, and your small form gains piercing. Then Biosynthetic Wings, which is an item which lets you have the aerial trait. And of course, you can get a helmet that will, well, not of course, but your Wasp helmet will give you some more defense. Now you do have an aggression deck, so you do have Thor, Jane Foster's version, as an ally, which is pretty cool. You also have the Wasp Janet Van Dyne. Now I don't remember if how Nadia is related to Janet. It's been a while since I've followed Ant-Man and the Wasp. So into the fray, attack that deals 6 damage to a minion, and for each point of excess damage, you remove 1 threat from the main scheme. That's pretty cool. Surprise attack, so after you change form, you can deal more damage, like that one as well. Power of aggression, which has been in pretty much all the aggression decks. Boot camp, so each ally you control gains +1 attack. Lie in wait, and I love that we finally got Moon Knight on a card here. Then after a minion engages, you discard Lie in wait and deal 3 damage to that minion. So pretty cool stuff. Then we have the basic cards. So Riri Williams makes her first appearance as Ironheart. Then we also have Spider-Man Miles Morales. Whenever we'll be seeing him as an expansion pack in the near future. Swarm Tactics, which is a team up, so you need the Ant-Man and Wasp, which we're definitely going to be playing as, which will be very cool. The standard double energy, powering all of us, so double the number of resources this card generates when playing for a gray basic card, pretty cool. And a Quinn Carrier, so just lets you generate a resource, and that's a great one to have. Then we, of course, have our nasty stuff, so Mother's Opinion, the side scheme, the villain Beetle, which is guard, forced interrupt. When Beetle is defeated, choose either spend, punch resource, or shuffle Beetle into the encounter deck. She's the nemesis minion. Beetlemania, treachery cards, she's got armor, and then the obligation, the Red Dreams. Now, just like every hero pack, you do get some cards that can be used for anything. So we've got a new Justice card, Run Interference. So hero action, remove 2 threat from the main scheme, remove X additional threat from the main scheme, where X is equal to the villain stage number. That's pretty cool. All for 1, deal 3 damage to an enemy. Exhaust any number of Avengers characters you control to deal 1 additional damage. So that could be neat for a final attack. Perseverance, protection. After you change form, give your hero a tough status card. Athletic conditioning. Discard 1 or stun. Discard 1 stun or confused card from the hero. And this is just a stop card, also reminding you what came in the Wasp's core deck. So there you have it. We've now taken a look at all of the cards for the Wasp. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review for Ant-Man and the Wasp. So Ant-Man and the Wasp. Where do you want to start, and what do you think of these expansions?
Well, I want to start with the folding cards and the 2 different types of hero sizes. I thought that was a neat, I thought it was a neat, different maneuver, mechanic to the game, however you want to say it, a new aspect of the game. I know we talked about it when they came out. Some people are complaining about the fact that you had to, open it or close it. We sleeve Marvel Champions. It just meant that the card, when we played it, just stayed out of the sleeve, and then when we put it away, we put it in the sleeve.
Yeah, so what I'm probably going to do is actually scan the cards and laminate just some paper, just because I want to protect the game and have some good solutions to play it, maybe with people that are less than careful with the cards. I don't think that Julie and I necessarily need to do it, but I think it's a good idea if you want to have that extra level of protection. That being said, the cards are very robust. I can see them wearing out over time, but over time means a significant amount of plays. I don't think you're going to see any issues in like 20 or 30 plays of these characters.
So, I mean, it's not just the novelty of the fact that the card opens up as I'm throwing fluff around, sorry. It's the fact that the different size champions are also different. They have different skills.
Different hand sizes.
Different hand sizes, different, like I said, different skills. So,
well, not different skills. I'd say different actions that they can take on their card, and then different stats for their threat, attack, and
that's what I meant
defense.
by skills. I meant they have different stats, so they don't have the same thwart or the same attack. I found personally that I liked the differences between Wasps, Tiny, and Giant more than Ant-Man's, but that's just me personally.
Well, I think it also depends on the who you're facing, because Ant-Man does seem to have a lot of abilities to summon allies and deal a lot of damage to like groups of enemies. I have to say, with the scenario that we were playing, we decided to play the same scenario twice. We started the Rise of the Red Skull campaign and we took on Crossbone, and I would agree with you. I felt that Wasp also did a lot better in terms of just that specific scenario. I do like the fact that you decided to talk about the foldable cards, because it's the one aspect that is constant between both expansions, so it's a great place to start when we're reviewing too.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked, if I talk about the Wasp, I liked her. I don't think she's my favorite. I like the different mechanic. I like heavy hitters. We've talked about it. You know, She-Hulk is probably one of my favorites. I love Thor. Which other ones have we played recently that I really love? Bottom line,
You liked Hulk a lot more than I thought you would.
Yeah, so basically, I like the heavy hitters. I like the one that smash things, and Wasp, though she has some cards that allow her to do a lot of damage, is more well-rounded. But she's no Doctor Strange. Let's say that's the other one that I really liked. So what did you think about the Wasp?
I really like the Wasp character. I have to say, I actually liked her more than Ant-Man. I did find that, then again, we both kind of like playing the characters that hit, where Ant-Man is more of an ally deck, where the Wasp, you get a straight-up aggression deck. So, once again, this is the first time you're watching our Marvel Champions reviews, we always review what is in the box, the core hero deck. We don't make any of our own decks and then review those. That may be something that comes in the future, but we're not doing that for the moment. Too much stuff to review. So I liked her cards. I liked her ability. I did also like her giant form just a little bit more because of the scenario with Crossbones. However, thinking back to like the Ultron scenario, where we constantly had those like Ultron drones that would pop up with like one hit, Ant-Man would have just been wrecking house and would have really made that scenario a lot easier.
Again, it's a question of luck of how your deck comes up as well. And
well, his one hit when he turns into giant form would always be there, so it'd be great with Ultron. I'm just giving an example as to where.
Yeah, you were talking about the allies. One of the and we're jumping to Ant-Man when you were talking about it.
So why don't we stick with the Wasp and we'll come back to the allies?
Okay.
You know, because I was finishing off saying that she's an aggression deck. I like her. I like her abilities in terms of like that pinpoint damage. I find that she's got some really cool damaging cards, whereas Ant-Man has a little less of those. So definitely, if you're looking for the character that's going to have probably say a little bit more overall versatility with the starting deck, I think she's definitely the one to choose. Because of that, also her wings, very nice. That little extra dodge that you get with tiny form. So. Also, I just think she's a little easier to play, like a lot more straightforward in terms of what you're doing with the cards.
I don't know that it's the easiness. I mean,
no, just straightforward. Like
she's well-rounded, I find, and yes, she plays well. She's a good all-round character, I think, and yes, like I said, I preferred her to Ant-Man. And like I said, I was going to say
go ahead. Let's talk about Ant-Man.
The reason, because you brought up the fact that he's good with allies. I didn't get any allies come up in my cards when I was playing. They just weren't coming up. I was getting a lot of cards that just didn't go well together. And that's one of the issues you have with this game, right? And
that's any game that you've got a deck of cards.
Yeah. And with his character, I found with his cards and abilities, they need to mesh well together for you to really get that hit power. And they just weren't working together when I played him. So that's maybe my frustration versus, like you said, Wasp was a little bit more straightforward in her abilities.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I mean, I like playing Ant-Man, but when I was succeeding with him, it was all allies. I got the Wasp as an ally. I had Ronan as an ally. I had Stinger as an ally, and that was cool because Stinger actually didn't count against my ally cap. So I was just really using my allies to really manage everything, doing only a little bit of stuff myself. And I actually found that to be a little bit frustrating. I wanted to do more as Ant-Man. And whereas Captain America is a great example of a character that also has an ally deck, but he's also straight up just hits hard and has abilities that stun and confuse. And that's something I actually would say across both of them. I didn't see like any stun, confuse, or like tough status cards.
There was one or two in Wasp, if I remember correctly. Now the other thing with Ant-Man that I would say as well is that when he's in giant form, you have to make the choice between tiny and giant with him when it comes to attack. There's a big difference, whereas Wasp is a little bit less of a difference. The other problem with Ant-Man, though, when you're in giant form, is that you're only taking 4 cards, and that's
same with the Wasp.
No, it's 5 in giant.
No, she's 4.
Fairly sure.
No, she's 4. They're both 4 in giant form.
Okay, I just found that there was I ended up finishing in giant
Hang
form
on,
more often.
viewers. If we got it wrong, correct us down below in the comments, or maybe I'll have something pop up saying Julie's right or I'm wrong. We'll double check.
I'm not going to argue with him at this point. So for me, like I said, they're both well-rounded. They're both fun to play. They're not my favorites though.
No, and I think you could really make a cool Ant-Man deck. I just don't know if I don't think I like leadership Ant-Man. I'll be honest, like I get why they made him a leadership character because it lets you introduce the old Ant-Man as an ally, Hank Pym, you get Ronin, you get some cool Avenger stuff, but I don't know, it didn't feel like Ant-Man. No, I get why Wasp has aggression. I'm not saying that Ant-Man would be a great aggression deck. I don't know if he should have been a justice or a protection deck, though I know that the way that all these decks come out, they like to try to have them themed so that they work well together. It almost felt like they were like, we need to do something with leadership, so let's do Ant-Man. He does command, an army of ants, so leadership. It felt a little thin to me, and I didn't really like that.
See, and that's another example. Those cards never came up at the right time together for me to ever get to use that ability. So, that's the other.
Yeah, no, Ant-Man definitely was not my favorite. I think, as you said,
I'm not saying he's not good. I just wasn't what I was expecting.
Well, we haven't ever made our own decks. Maybe at some point over the course of the year we'll make our own custom decks, and we'll do our first ever. We'll talk about Marvel Champions with some custom decks. That'll be way down the line, and we can take a look at an Ant-Man and say, hey, we figured out a build that we actually like. But I would say out of the box, he's definitely I don't know, it's him and Miss Marvel that are at the bottom of the hero packs that we've gotten so far. I'd say Wasp is not at the top, but she's definitely in the middle. There's one other thing we have to talk about. I was trying to think of new mechanics that we need to mention. There is the new team-up mechanic, and while these two characters don't actually exploit it a lot yet, I thought it was really cool. So you get one card per deck, and you're instructed to remove it and replace it with something else. If you're not playing as Ant-Man and the Wasp, essentially it lets you change form and ready your character another time. And I thought that was really cool. The idea of having cards that work with specific characters, especially when you think of Marvel heroes, the Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, seeing these team-up cards that reward you for playing specific characters is something that I would really like to see. I mean, in X-Men, you've got Wolverine's and Colossus's fastball special. You've got, forgetting the name of some of the moves, but you always have the Thing and the Human Torch doing their stuff together in Fantastic Four. So you've seen Iron Man and Tony Stark doing that, like, shield blast, or even the same thing with...
Iron Man and Tony Stark are the same person.
So, Captain America. Sorry. Iron Man and Captain America. I'm thinking of the scene in when he reflects the beam off of the shield. But then you also have the Thor hitting the shield in Avengers 2 to do that big, like, sonic boom that they do. So having cool cards like that, I think is going to go a long way to really enhancing the way the game plays. The ability to maybe do it with one character, two characters, three characters, four characters, just depending on how you're playing, is something I would really like to see continue to be added into the game. Now, I don't want them to start focusing on it and making it so that, like, we're getting less cards, but as something extra that they're doing, or taking up one or two cards a pack, I think it's well worth it.
So you ready to give it a score?
Well, let's give each of them a score. I think that they played differently enough, and for those of you that haven't heard it or you've skipped a little bit ahead, we definitely don't think equally of the two packs.
So you go first. I've been going first for a while.
All right, so I give Ant-Man a 6.5. He's a solid character. I like his hero cards. I like the theme, and I really enjoy playing Scott Lang. I just don't love what we're necessarily getting in the box. And if you have to choose between Ant-Man and someone else, I'm going to tell you, pick Doctor Strange, pick Hulk, pick some of the other hero packs that have already come out. And with regards to the Wasp, she's not my favorite, but she's a solid addition to the game. She gets a 7, all around good expansion to the game. If you have to pick Wasp or Ant-Man, pick Wasp. She's very much, well, I'm always happy to see more female characters being added to the game as well. There's there's a good rounding out so far between all of them, but I really like the way that she played, and I love to actually see her playing with Spider-Woman. The last two editions that we've had for female characters have both been really strong and straightforward and fun to play. I miss the control abilities you get with Spider-Woman, but if you're looking for a new aggression hero, Wasp is a good one.
So for me, I'm going to agree with you. Wasp is a 7. I think she's definitely stronger than Ant-Man, as I alluded to. I think she's definitely strong. She's a good character, good all-around character, as I said before. And I think both of them need to be in the collection, I believe. I wouldn't pass up on them unless, money is an issue and you're looking for just one of the two. I'd go with the Wasp. I am going to go lower than you for Ant-Man. I'm going to go with a 6. It's passive. It's passing grade. For me, a passing grade is a 6. I'm just disappointed in the way he played. Like you said, maybe it's a leadership deck. Maybe it would be different if we build a different one. But as it comes in the box, I believe he's a 6 and she's a 7. But they should both, I think.
No, I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp, if you're an MCU fan, if you're a Marvel fan, you're going to want to have all the heroes. I mean, we're getting the whole game. I don't know how many years we'll be collecting, but we intend to have it for a very long time. I'm also wondering if we're a little bit more disappointed with Ant-Man because we have Marvel United, not one of our favorite games, but he was a standout surprise hero in Marvel United, actually being the best character and made our lives a lot easier.
Maybe that's why we were looking forward to it. In any case, I think it's time to remind people to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
Also, take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds. You'll find Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing as Ant-Man and the Wasp, you can find them on all those feeds. Also looking for a copy of both of these hero packs. Take a look as well. We do have a link to multizone.ca, great store located in Gatineau, Quebec. We do have our Dice and Dragons discount code. You will get 10% off your purchase. It's a great way for you to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase will be returned to us. So we don't have Patreon. We get paid YouTube ad revenue. All of the YouTubers know that that's so if you do want to support us, we always do appreciate it. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. Julia, where should we take them?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's in the core box.
Spider-Woman.
So it'll take you back to our review of the Rise of the Red Skull campaign, which includes Hawkeye and Spider-Woman.
There you go.
So what do we need to do now?
Grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend and partner.
Keep playing games.
Keep playing games.
Definitely keep playing this game.
Wow, this is creeping up on our most played game. And we do have Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is the next expansion. There might be a villain before that, but it's coming soon.